Hello and welcome to another project update. All right, so today is kind of an update on, today's mainly an update on yesterday's issue with mainly with the PVS gameplay monitor system. So I can't get this to work. I'm sure you may or may not have seen my post in my community on my channel, and also my previous video where I talked about this. But basically, the gist of it is that the room manager system, which is primarily for setting up occlusion culling, which I did get working, has a secondary function. So here's occlusion culling. So there's like a portal down here where the player can see through, and right now the camera's like outside of where the player is like meant to be. You can kind of see that it's like phasing in and out. So that stuff works properly. What isn't working properly is the PVS mode system. This is like, so the purpose of this system is to allow for the gameplay monitor system. I think that's the main system. And gameplay monitor allows you to pretty much dynamically, yeah, it says so right over here in the little blurb there. I'm pointing with my finger, but I mean you can't see me doing that because I don't know why I'm doing that. Sometimes you do things and you don't really think about it. Yeah, the purpose of this is to allow for dynamic enabling and disabling of objects based on player proximity. And I can't get this working. So what I've done instead is I created my own system that kind of hijacks the original system. So this uses the gameplay monitor. What it does, what it's meant to do is it's meant to send notifications to objects based on whether the player is like in proximity and whether the object is like visible. So what I've done is I've created this gameplay area script, very basic, but the idea is that if an object enters and the object is the player, propagate a notification for entering the gameplay zone, and the same thing for exit. And I've also created my own notification using number 43, which, as far as I can tell, is unclaimed. So this is like so different notifications are assigned to different numbers. These are built into the engine, but it seems like you can make your own and define your own. And I made this one called notification use gameplay area. This is my way of saying that this object is in a gameplay area. So it's like turn like everything off by default, and then turn on when the player is around. So I've updated the bug enemy nest to make it so that whether or not it processes is based on whether the player is in the gameplay area. Yeah, I've done the same thing with bug enemy. So bugs won't spawn unless the player is nearby, and even if they are spawned in, they won't like they won't like their AIs will be it's only active when the player is around, and it's inactive when the player isn't around. I'm actually surprised by how easy this was to set up, because it's all built-in functionality that which I expanded upon. All right, so I'm going to show it in action. So if you watch my last video, you'll see that when the player walked like over here, actually pretty much anywhere in the level, the bugs were like spawning here and making noise, and you could pretty much hear it anywhere, and it was a little bit annoying. Actually, it's very annoying because it's not supposed to happen. But now you'll see that it works the way you'd probably want it to work. And that being the bugs only spawning when the player's in the level, and even if they're spawned in, they're inactive. Right. So the nest is set up to only spawn them every 10 seconds, but that timer is only active when I'm in the same room as the bugs. So I'm going to wait a little bit, and you'll notice that it's going to remain pretty much completely silent because the bugs aren't spawning in. But as soon as I enter this room, the timer for the bugs spawning from the nest is now active, and they're going to start spawning in probably about 5 seconds. Yeah, there's one. And as soon as I'm far enough away, you can hear his walk cycle. And as soon as I leave, the noise stops, and you can't hear it anymore. So yeah, it's all working. Only downside is that in order for this to work, I have to create an area. So this area that I made has 2 collision shapes, a rectangular prism and another one. And I have to make sure that the bug enemy spawner, that being the nest, is a child of the gameplay area. Because it'll propagate. So what's gonna happen is when the gameplay area is active, it propagates a notification to all of its children that the player is like nearby and to be active, and then it like turns off when the player is far enough away. I think I've probably repeated myself multiple times over this video, but yeah, it's like just in case you don't understand. Anyways, that's pretty much it. I'm pretty happy with what I've done today. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.